Alright, hello. So this is the third part of making a 2D platformer, and right now we don't have platforms. But that's a different thing. We need a player controller. Last time we made our player move left and right. That, and today we are going to try and make him jump. So yeah, slide. Okay, it's not perfect, but he moves left and right and also falls and flies apparently. But anyway, today we are going to jump up. So the first thing we need to do to make him, actually the first thing we are going to do now is this here. We said here into speed into time dot delta time last time to regulate, but when you have void fixed update, you need to make it time dot fixed delta time instead of normal delta time. So yeah, let's just quickly make that change. The spelling is a bit weird, different. Okay, so now it will just work slightly better. And now let's work on a jump script. So basically what we want to do when jumping is, whenever he's on the ground, we'll make him jump, and we need to make him jump for a certain amount of time based on how long the space bar. I mean, it won't change based on that, but you can do that. But anyway, so we need to track when he's on the ground. We need to make sure he jumps only when he's on the ground. We need to track when he's in the air, and we also need to look at how long he will be in the air. So let's start with the ground part. First, let's make a new public bool. Bool is basically a type of variable that can save only true or false. So public bool is grounded. This will check if our player is grounded. Of course, it can't do that on its own. We need to write a script for that. And now let's make a uh, separate loop for this. So instead of void fixed update, instead of making that in fixed update, it will be not as easy. So let's make a new void jump, add in these curly brackets, and now we have a new script called void jump. And in our fixed update, not a new script, sorry, in our fixed update, let's just say jump and the brackets and the semicolon. So void jump, and in this void jump we are going to first say what is grounded is. So let me just see for myself. Okay, so we need to say is grounded equal to physics 2D, because again this is a 2D game, so we need to have physics 2D. Physics 2D dot overlap circle. Let me just check the spelling real fast here. Okay, overlap circle. Basically what this will do is it will create a circle, but we also need to tell it where to create a circle. So we want, and how big it will be, and what it will check for. So let's first create a public layer mask. I will explain in a second what this is. Public layer mask, ground layer. So a layer mask, okay, so first let me show you. So here if we select our player and go in our inspector, it will show two things, tag and a layer. Right now it says a default, and I have already created a layer called ground. So we need to make sure that our player doesn't bounce on himself or anything. We need to make sure he only bounces on grounds and platforms and things that are not bounce jump, things that are meant to be jumped on. So let's go at our platform. Let's go to layer and say ground. This won't be here already, but you can go here, add layer, and there are lots of blank spots for that. but I've already created the ground layer, so we can say ground. And now we can go into our movement script, and this ground layer will be our ground. I'll show you that later. For now though, we need to make another thing, which is go here, say public. Okay, let me check if it's game object or transform. Okay, it's transform. Okay, so a public transform feet. You can name it whatever you want. I'm going to name it. So a transform is the component we have here. It's the component that's on everything. If I create an empty game object, it will have nothing. It will be empty, but it will still have a transform. And a transform can be used to basically check lots of things, one of which is position. And we want to do that. So let's say public. Now what we want to do is we want to go to the feet of our player, create a circle there, and using that circle we want to check whether we are on the ground or not. And feet is logical because that's where a circle, because that's what touches the ground. So let's say feet dot position. So now we need to format it in such a way. So we want to tell it where we will start it. We want to tell it how big it will be, and we want to tell the computer what it should check for. So it should check for feet dot position. Now let's create a float that will say how big it will be. Public float radius. Let's call it radius because that's going to be the radius of our circle. So feet dot position radius and comma uh, feet dot uh, okay, right, ground layer. We want to reference our ground layer. So let's save this, head into Unity. Let's see if any errors come up. I hope they don't. Okay, we're good. So now it will have a bunch of new things here. We have our is grounded bool. Let's just keep it as it is. We don't need to do meddle with that. Now we can say what our ground layer is. Is our ground layer the UI layer, the default layer? Is it nothing, everything? So let's say our ground layer is our ground layer. And what is the transform of our feet? So let's go here and reference our feet. Now this is a useful thing of not referencing the left right legs and instead referencing just the feet. So we don't have to reference two things, and that will lead to a lot of confusion. So yeah, now let's quickly add all the other stuff. So first we want to check if input dot get button up, get button down. So basically what get button down does is it checks for if a button has been gotten down, and jump is the thing I showed in the last tutorial. Now we want to say input dot get button down jump and we use two of these cursive ands is grounded equal to true. So basically if jump is pressed and we are grounded, it will make us jump. So rb dot velocity dot y r sorry not r rb dot velocity, not the y, oops, rb dot velocity equal to vector 2 vector 2 dot up, which is a vector that Unity has already created, into let's say 5. A better way would be to reference this variable, so let's do that. So public float jump force and vector 2 dot up into jump force. So yeah, we got this ready. Oops. So this will make our player go up. Now let's create another bool. Public bool is jumping. This will track if our player is currently jumping, which will make sure he won't jump twice. So is jumping equal to true, and now we also need to track how long he will jump. So let's go here. Let me just see. Right, let's make two more floats. Public float jump time, and this will already have a set value. This value won't change. And public float jump time counter, so it won't so this jump time counter will actually count our jump time. So let's keep this jump time counter equal to jump time. Alright, so we got this ready. So basically we have already created what we need when our player presses the space key. Now let's say if so now we need to check if our we need to check when the player is in the air, or basically we need to say if input dot get button, not get button down, oops, jump, and what we also need to check is if he is currently jumping. Basically if he is in the air right now, so basically if we press jump and he is in the air right now, then we need to check another thing. If our jump time counter, hang on a minute, our jump time counter is currently more than 0. Okay, so what we are doing here is we are basically making sure no variables go wrong, and we are basically setting our jump time counter up. So if this happens, we want our jump time counter minus equal to time dot, not fixed delta time because this is a normal update, time dot delta time. So basically whenever we jump, we want to make sure our jump time counter goes down, so we want to make sure we don't jump forever. Now let's add an else. Now if we press jump but we are not jumping currently, so we don't want our jump time counter to start going down unnecessarily. So let's just put our is jumping to false. This will basically solve some stuff. Basically, oh right, sorry, not that thing. Sorry. Basically, if our jump time counter is 0 currently, then we don't want to be jumping anymore. So we put is jumping to false. And now one final thing is another if statement. Again, we need to say input dot get button up. This time input dot get button up, oops, not there, input dot get button up jump. So basically what get button up does is checks when the player releases the space bar. So what we are doing here is when we say get button down, that means he has just pressed the space bar. When we say get button, he's currently holding it, he has pressed or he has released. And get button up means he has released the button. So when he has released the button, we just say is jumping equal to false. Let me just check I didn't do anything wrong. I don't think I did. So yeah, let's save this, head into Unity. I did something wrong. 44, 40. Okay, wait a minute. 44. Oh, we didn't. Okay, I don't see why this is happening. 44, 55. Expected. What? This doesn't make sense. Let me just. Okay, I'll try to fix this and come back. Okay, so I fixed the problem. It was some issue with spacing. So yeah, just if anyone is following this tutorial, just check the spacing. I just copy pasted it. Anyway, so yeah, let's check if our player can jump now. If we press our space bar, he can't. That's because we haven't actually done anything here. So first let's set the radius to 2. Let's set the jump force to 5. Put the jump time to 4. And the jump time counter will update on its own. We don't need to do anything for that. Okay, let's see. We can move. Can we jump? Okay, wait. It's not recognizing. Oh, right. That's it. So if we go into... No, wait a minute. I don't get... Okay, I'm going to try a thing. Let's, instead of feet, let's put it at one thing here. Okay, so that was the problem. The feet wasn't set up properly. And he flies. Because jump time was 4, which is too high. But yeah, once jump time is over, it falls down. So yeah, we need to configure this first. Let's put jump time to 1 and see what happens. It should jump for 1 second. Yeah. It's a bit high still. Let's put it to 0.5. Half a second should be enough, and increase the jump force to like 8. Let's see how good that is. Yeah, so this is much better. So much better. Alright, and now one final thing that we'll do is our platform. Let's make it a prefab. Basically, now I can drag lots of platforms, and whenever I change something about this platform prefab, it changes everything about these other platforms. Let's see if we can jump our way up to these other platforms. Oops. Okay, it's a bit jagged. It's not perfect, but it works. Yeah. Alright, that's enough. So thank you for watching. You get to watch this thing about my screen. Oh my god. Alright, stop it.